It's pure black ice. It's pretty scary.
Well, southwest sounds good, Bernie. I'll take a look.
Just wait a couple more minutes to see if we get Max or James or Dave. But I think between Catherine and Joe and myself, we have a quorum of our little group, so we can proceed. Let's give a minute or two. So let's see, we've got Zoe Weissman, we've got I think the intent is this to be recorded. Okay, it's good evening. It's 7:03. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. Max, I see you just joined. This is the West Hartford Clean Energy Commission. We're meeting today on the shortest day of the year, 9 hours, 8 minutes, 31 seconds. So it's all up from here. We have kind of a packed agenda. At the end, we're going to have a discussion about a group of residents that are interested in declaring a climate emergency. This is something we visited about a year ago, and we're going to take another look at it.
The final deal launches an arsenal.
And so we have Catherine.
For making Americans direct checks.
And if it's okay, I'm going to share my screen. And here, can folks pretty clearly see that? Joe, is that visible to you?
It's pretty small, Bernie.
It's really small.
It's really small. Okay. How about that? Is that any better?
Bigger.
Still really small.
Still
Here.
really. Let me try one more trick here. This might not. Maybe I was too smart for my own good here. Is that any better?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh. Yeah.
It's better.
He's great, but better.
Yeah, he's in presentation mode now, so I think this is as good as it's getting.
Okie dokie. So you see before you the agenda that Catherine sent out. We called the meeting to order at 7:03. If we could have a roll call of the commissioners, just say here if you're here. Max Duboisson. I know you're here, Max. We'll skip over Max. Chris, you're here?
I'm here.
Bob Palmer, I know you're not here. Catherine Deviney, you are here, yes?
Yes.
Joe,
Can you hear me now?
yes, indeed, Max.
All right, I'm here. Sorry, WebEx is screwing with all my audio and video options tonight. Sorry.
I know. We live in this alternate universe between Zoom and WebEx and Meets and so forth. Joe Campanella, you're here? I'm going to put a check next to his name even though I don't see him. How about James Capella? Is he on? And Dave Mello, are you here? He is not, so I'll put a circle next to his name. I'll put a circle next to James' name. And I'm Bernard Pelletier. I'm the chair of this group. So we have a good, healthy quorum this evening. Could I get Catherine sent out the minutes. I hope you've all taken a look at them. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
I approve the minutes. Make a motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Okay, the minutes are approved. When last we left our heroes, we had sent our energy plan out to Matt Hart, Todd Dumay, Ben Winograd, and three other commissions, the Conservation and Environment Commission, the Human Rights Commission, and the Pedestrian and Bicycle Commission. So we've heard back from 2 of those 4 parties, and we're going to take a look at that feedback now very quickly. So we received some comments which I have paraphrased and reduced the number of words so it would fit on a slide. But in general, the town manager was appreciative of the plan. He did have some requests and suggestions that we track and measure carbon emissions over time, starting with the town and then rolling out to the larger community. And he asked us to highlight a greenhouse gas inventory tool somewhere within the plan. And that's something that I think we can do. He wanted us to add a strategy, I guess, to the municipal actions portion of this. He is looking from his perspective at the entire municipal operation, which in West Hartford includes the schools as well as the town buildings. And he is actively trying to find a way to consolidate operations so we don't have as many buildings, and those buildings that we have would presumably be the more efficient buildings. Catherine, did I get that one right? Is that a fair way to say that?
Yes. And I think some of this is good news, although as you all know, people are very attached to even their old buildings. So there may be some pushback. But I did not know that this was a priority of his, so I'm glad he shared that so that we can incorporate it into the plan. I've heard bits and pieces from different people over the years, as well as more recently, about consolidating some operations and rethinking how we serve the communities through our buildings, and even utilizing new properties to build newer, more efficient, sustainable facilities to house these programs.
Yeah, and to be clear, this was just a high-level suggestion for us to consider. I am completely unaware. I don't know of anything that's in the work. So I think people may be attached to their buildings, and they can remain attached, no doubt, for some period longer. This next paragraph, I think probably a lot of it sits outside of the Clean Energy Charter, but he is very interested in exploring the connection between energy usage and water, wastewater and stormwater infrastructure, as well as waste management practices. All those things border right next to energy. Some of them cross into energy, but I think we'd want to reach out to conservation and environment to fully embrace these. And here, this next sentence possibly reference issues such as separation of wastewater and stormwater infrastructure, trying to reduce impervious surfaces, which is what causes water to run off quickly and causes problems for our various sewage systems. And I know Catherine Bruns is on. He also called out specifically waste reduction strategies. And the fourth thing I think is really important. Give the council some time with the plan, probably through its Public Works and Facilities Committee, which is chaired by Mr. Ben Winograd. So I think last time in November, this commission signed off subject to input from from Matt Hart, which we have now received. And I think in essence, he's saying pass this up the line to Winograd and as a prelude to going before the town council. So I think it's at least mostly off our plate and onto the next plate, although we should reflect these these comments. I'm switching now to the, go ahead.
Bernie, if you can flip back to those, I think we can respond to Matt too. And again, this is exciting to me because he's looked at it and he thanked us for our work and he did believe it was quite comprehensive. But I think at the same time, this lays the groundwork for a bigger plan. And I don't think that makes our energy plan any less, but it demonstrates that he is looking at the bigger picture too. And we can tell him, there are certain things that are in the energy plan and certain things that are not. We can't provide those other things. You got to go to your other commissions or your other departments to fill in the gaps where our energy plan kind of drew the boundary.
Catherine, thank you for that. I responded to his comments and I characterized, like you just said, I think we're all in favor of broadening this out to cover as much of town operations as possible. I described the energy plan as one Lego, and to the extent that he wants to find other Legos that might handle things like waste reduction and stormwater, hopefully we can fit these plans together and give him something comprehensive. But I think it is way beyond our charter to bring these things in.
And that's what Max's introductory slide actually tried to hit head on, about what the plan is and what the plan is not. So
that's right. So that's Max. If any people have spent some time with the draft of the plan, which is on the website, Max DeBois put in a slide basically saying what's in our plan and what's not, and sort of why that's the case. What you're looking at now is the comments that we received from Matt Masunas and his commission, the Conservation and Environment Commission. And FYI, I'm going to speak to them tomorrow night at 7 o'clock if they can get a quorum, given that it's December 22nd. He has some concern he might not get a quorum, but anybody on this call who would like to join into that commission I think I can make that invitation since it's a public meeting. He gave us really three comments. The first is sort of a general comment. We kind of get right down to brass tacks in our plan and talk about West Hartford. I think this first comment is maybe we should give, at least via footnote, an idea of some of the bigger perspectives on this. And he gives a couple reports. He makes a comment. I'm switching down to the second bullet. We're talking about electric EVs powered by clean energy. He just says use a zero emissions criteria. And he wants the final point here is He wants us to have a next step, which we'll talk about in a minute. In addition to keeping the town council up to date, he wants his commission to be connected to us, which is music to our ears, because we're all about outreach to the other commissions. Any questions?
So my only comment, I don't know whether anyone else has comments, my only comment is on the first bullet point, that I understand where he's coming from to kind of drill down to West Hartford. At the same time, all these reports that he references are really focused on climate and climate change. And we specifically, well, we mention it again. I think it depends on where you draw the boundary. You know, we were really focused on energy use in certain sectors, not on climate change globally. So I'm happy to include some of this stuff, but I think again that we, you know, the energy plan, as Bernie said, might be a Lego, and we're happy to include the content of that plan in a broader document, which might have more basis referencing some of these national and global reports.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, Catherine. And I don't. Perhaps we add a slide and talk about some of these things, not like they're ours to plan, but talk about where we fit in and where others might join in, something along those lines. Okay. We have got a couple just today, late. I'll call them late breaking. I'm going to pretend that I'm Wolf Blitzer and just say we have some late breaking news. Just maybe around 3 o'clock, we got a request from Mark Scully out at PACE, which is People's Action for Clean Energy. That's a group I belong to, so that's full disclosure. But this request came from Mark. He asked Catherine if we in West Hartford would be willing to share our plan kind of as a template. And in a way, it would be returning a favor if we said yes, because the plan that we've all looked at for a while actually was developed around a template that PACE and Mark Scully produced. Catherine, I think your strong inclination was to run it by the commission, but this isn't about West Hartford having the best plan and nobody can have as good a plan as we have. I think we're all about sharing on this front. So I would make a motion that we go ahead and share our draft and say, to the extent that PACE can encourage other towns to piggyback on the work that Catherine and Max and all of us on the commission have done, have at it.
Yeah, I mean, my philosophy on this kind of stuff is I'm happy to share any of my work, memo, spreadsheets, whatever I create in the context of my job with other towns, because I think it just speeds the process along, you know, and we're all in it together. So just as a lot of people pirated and used word for word, a lot of you guys, the first energy plan that West Hartford created back in 2009, you saw that plan pop up repeatedly on other towns' websites. I'm happy to share our template on this one too, with Mark to post on the PACE website and or with other towns to but Bernie and I wanted to run it by you guys. So does anyone have any reservations or anything, or do you guys want to vote on that?
I would second the motion and vote for it. I think that's fine.
Yeah, I agree. Share away.
That's
Should
fine.
we just do it after it gets voted in and done with, in case there's maybe a few more changes to it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you, Steve. I don't know how long that's going to take. So I would share it as a draft, because I think fundamentally, we're human beings, and I think there's a group of human beings who can't help but tweak a document until they can't tweak it anymore. So I can see this thing getting tweaked for a long time. But
Yeah, I think it's more of a template format, so it doesn't matter that it's finalized or not for towns to take and then improve on. So they wouldn't necessarily need the final version. If they wanted the final version, we could give it to him when it's finalized and he could update the website, or they could find it on our website, the final one.
okay. I heard no objections. I did note Steve's suggestion. The second point is good news. I think
Bernie,
everybody.
do you want to finish with old business first and then come back to some of these?
Yes, that's it. Thank you, Catherine. Let's do that. So we're barreling down the end of this year, and we have to roll into 2021. Just to give us a status of our commission. This is sort of how long. This is our party affiliation, which we'll explain why that matters in a second. And this is how long we're on for. I've had a phone call with, I think, all the commissioners, and everybody is interested in staying on. So some people have some things going on that they might drop off later in the year, but right now it looks like we have everybody just rolling over into 2021.
What's the difference between a U and an end?
Okay, the difference between a U and an N is I don't know, they are different letters. I got, what you're seeing here is what I got from from, who's our town clerk?
Essie Lebreau.
So whatever you see here is what the town of West Hartford thinks you are. And if there are corrections, I'm going to guess that you might be undetermined.
Right.
Or
Oh, Samantha's saying in the chat, unaffiliated.
unaffiliated.
Okay.
Well, I guess that makes me ask the question again. What's the difference between unaffiliated and independent? I assume unaffiliated means you're not registered to vote, but I am.
Okay, so, and Max, we don't have to do this on live TV, which is what we're doing, but maybe we can follow up later. If we have it wrong, then we'll just correct it right up to the town clerk.
Sure.
So there's two reasons I wanted to share this slide. First, to give everybody an idea of how much of their term that they have. And you will note that even though I can't verbalize the difference between you and ind, one letter that's not here is R, and that is the minority party on the town council, namely Republican. And what we're informed of is that the rules for all commissions is that they need to have a representative from the minority party. So right at this very moment, we don't have a vacancy. However, in the last meeting, or perhaps the meeting before, Steve Sack, who has an R next to his name and has been a steady attendee at these meetings and contributed a lot to these meetings, said, well, he would be interested in participating. And so I forwarded his name on to Lee Gold, who is the Republican minority leader on the town council. And Steve and Lee are getting to know each other, and hopefully when an opportunity presents itself, we'll be able to get one of those very rare R commissioners. By the way, Stephen, you might I don't know if this will make you happy or sad. Apparently, our commissioners are in demand on other commissions as well. So if you have people who are civic minded that want to get involved, I think we're looking for folks from the Republican Party.
I'll see what I can take on and see what I have time for. Maybe I'll try and get on something else, but you know, this commission is something I'm involved in every day at work. So
This is your day job. That's
yeah.
I'm not trying to dilute your contribution. I'm just suggesting that I just basically they said there's I think like the might be the Risk Management Commission or something like that needs some Republican representation. I don't know if James Capella has dialed in or not, but I think I got a text from him. He's listening and participating from his car. James, if you are driving, beware of black ice. So don't pay too much attention to us. Just drive slowly and carefully. Catherine expressed a desire to turn in her role as secretary because she is the town representative and she typically leads these meetings and does a lot. And so I think it makes a lot of sense. James stepped up and said he would serve as the secretary, and that's welcome. And I think I already covered the discussion with Lee Gold. Any questions on that?
I think we need to vote on James's appointment as secretary.
Thank you very much. I'll put his name in as a nomination. Any opposition to that?
No.
Okay.
I second the motion.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Congratulations, James, if you're listening. Your resume just got much, much brighter.
So James will start being our scribe, starting with the January, I think it's 25th or 27th. I can't remember our next meeting date.
Yeah, and we'll flash those up at the end. Or
27th.
okay, 127. One of the things that as we prepare for 2021, these are the action items that we had in our plan, and the near-term action items are divided. Actually, the action items are divided into two buckets: general and then municipal. And essentially, Catherine, you are handling most of the municipal. There's a little bit of overlap, as we'll see. These are the 14 items that we have right now in the general bucket. We'll come to Catherine's in a bit. As I put them on the slide, I did wonder if we want to combine some of these. And on the next slide, I'm going to suggest that we might want to add a couple, and that'll be an open discussion. So the first one in green, this is very Christmassy, by the way, unintentional on my part, but is number one is adopt a resolution to support 100% by 2050 and the new energy plan. And number 9 says conduct outreach for Sierra Club's Ready for 100 campaign, goal of 2021 adoption. Do you think, what if people think, could they imagine those being in the same, and basically combined into a single bullet?
I think so, and I think also the next discussion that we're going to have about a climate emergency resolution would be in there as well. I think for me, the bottom line is kind of pass some sort of resolution and adopt the plan. What form that takes, I'm not sure we know yet.
Okay.
I would agree with that.
So we'll say generally yes, but we'll reflect whatever conversation we have about the climate emergency and revisit these bullets. And then the peppermint color, the red ones here, these are all about outreach, and I thought they might be combined as well. So develop an effective network or means of reaching the community on energy issues, because really our strategy is, it's not like we have dictatorial powers. we have the power of education and outreach, and so we need a means of outreach. My recollection of number 4, rethink the connection with Sustainable West Hartford, that's, Chris, that's the website and the Google group that I think you are the administrator for.
Yeah, I don't know how much goes out. If there's a Google group currently, it's mainly the there might still be a Google group, but it's the Sustainable West Hartford page on Facebook, which now is kind of just there for people to post announcements, but it could be used more to engage people.
What if we reword number 3 to actively develop and maintain effective network or means of reaching community on clean energy issues, and then delete number 4 and 12?
Say that again, Max. Actively?
Replace, so number 3 started with actively develop and maintain, and then keep the rest, and then delete number 4 and number 12.
I think number 12, Catherine, you specifically want to change the way Sustainable CT is administered, yeah?
Yeah, I'm not sure that necessarily belongs in the energy plan. And this, number 12, was more about soliciting community input, whereas number 3 and 4, I think, are more about outreach, but could be a two-way street.
I think rethinking it as one big bullet, that's a two-way street.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
We can do that. Just FYI, Chris and I did have a separate offline conversation about whether anyone felt territorial about Sustainable West Hartford Facebook page, or whether we could kind of use that as a broader community tool. And Chris was supportive of that idea. So that tool, that Facebook page, is out there and can be grown or utilized.
That's great. And I know right now Catherine Bruns uses it a lot on municipal solid waste issues, on recycling issues.
Yes, she cross posts a lot between her Facebook page, which is great, and she's built from the ground up since she started, and she cross posts a lot with Sustainable West Hartford. But it's a great tool that Chris got started. So hopefully.
And I would just say, for anyone who's participating in this meeting or maybe watching from home, if you are interested, you can go to the Sustainable West Hartford Facebook page and ask to join, and we can add you to the list.
Oh, Chris, that was actually one of the questions. So do you have to give permission to people to join?
Yes, because we get a lot of, we get requests to join from people who are in other parts of the world, and I try to give a little geographic preference to who can actually join. I used to be, wanted them to be working or living in West Hartford. Now, if it's someone who's kind of in the general vicinity, I'll usually approve them. But it's to kind of keep spammers out, they do have to be approved to join.
Gotcha.
Great. And I just want Max to write down your words, because I'm not going to be able to write them down.
I'll work with Mac. We'll reconfigure it, and I'll work with Max on some wording.
Super.
You're looking for commissioners to sign up for certain pieces of this?
Give me 2 slides, and I'm right. Yes, the answer is yes, but you're 1 click ahead of me. Okay, I'm going to switch over. Just some potential new action items came to mind. So I think we definitely want to keep other commissions updated. Carbon tracking tool, that just came out of the Matt Hart's questions. Right now we have community programs in general. I'm suggesting where I run a heat pump education campaign, outreach campaign, maybe we want to generalize that to include home energy solutions and small business energy advantage. We have bioheat mentioned as an option as an action item in the municipal plan. I wondered if since we have, I think my memory is not perfect, but something like 5,000 or 6,000 people who heat with oil, and bioheat might be a short-term fix. So, and I don't know if other commissioners, or for that matter, other members of the public have other potential new action items. So we could just, and it's a heavy ask in a short time. So,
So Bernie, are these action items going in the immediate column, the 21-22 timeframe? Because to me, like the bullet point 3, when we talk about community programs in general, you know, I mean, we can only do so many campaigns in 1 year.
That's
So
right.
whereas I would put bullet point 3 in the long-term, long-range category, you know, outreach on all the programs, but in the immediate category, I would put the outreach on the ones that we're going to focus on this year.
Agreed. What prompted me to put Hess there is I'm looking at a lot of other towns who are running campaigns right now, and I'm saying we didn't put that in our plan. So,
because at the time we wrote this plan, it wasn't one of the immediate campaigns we wanted to run. We wanted to run a heat pump campaign. If we've changed, then that's fine, you know. And I think that would go into the implementation of a bullet saying, you know what, maybe we don't want to run a heat pump campaign. Maybe we want to run a HES campaign first and then a heat campaign. So yes, we can add it, but I don't think we can do HES and small business and heat pump all in 1 year.
totally agree. Okay. We can circle back if we have time at the end, or we can follow up after this meeting if people have other ideas. I'm going to quickly flash, Catherine, what you are planning to work on for the municipal sector. You know, so quarterly communications. You're going to work the two Catherines, one with a C and one with a K. You're going to work with the recycling coordinator. As I think you've always done, you know, review the schedule of upcoming municipal capital improvements. Look at the interval data for municipal buildings, with the object being to reduce the peak, which actually is a dollars and cents issue, as well as an engineering issue. Look at our fleet, see if our fuel reduction, fuel switching, so for example, biodiesel and or electrification. And we shouldn't have this conversation now, but it would be great if we can get on a path to get to silver certification. I'm perpetually confused about timelines, so I don't know if there's enough time, but I hope there is.
I think there is.
That's great. So on the general side of things, and I recognize we are going to reconfigure some of these bullets, but what I was hoping to do is get various of us signed up underneath each of these. And I think the first, the 100% by 2050, I'm going to put us all down for that one. The second, give regular updates to their town council, I think Bernie and Catherine. And when I put my name there, it doesn't mean anybody else can't join in, but effective network or means of reaching the community. You want to sign up for that? Oops, sorry.
Would you ask Bernie?
So number 3 is develop effective network or means of reaching the community on energy issues. I know we're going to reconfigure that bullet, but
Right. Well, I haven't been terribly successful in the last 10 years trying to do that, but I would want to continue and try to figure out the best way to get the community more involved. So you can put me down for that.
number 3, Joe, and anybody to work alongside Joe? Or you?
That's a two-way street. I really only go one way. So I don't know about using social media to get the word out. Maybe there's a way of coordinating a message through Catherine.
Catherine makes the point, and I think it's a good one, that if you become the honcho of, any of us become the honcho on any one of these, it doesn't mean we have to do all the work. It just means that we look for helpers. We will regularly sort of report at these meetings. And so I think with you as the captain on that issue, I'm comfortable that things are going to get done. It's not like you have to do everything yourself. Rethinking our connection with sustainable West Hartford.
I think that goes along with number 3.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and certainly
and-
to the
and-
extent that the Sustainable West Hartford webpage is involved, I mean, I would be involved with that.
Yeah.
I have Josie and Chris Nelson. Right after this meeting, I'm going to call up Mark Zuckerberg and warn him that you guys are after him.
Well, and I think to Bernie's point, what we're trying to do here is just, of all the things that, we sort of said we're interested in doing in our plan, we're trying to get a sense from the commissioners about which one you personally are most excited about. And if it's not one of the items on our to-do list, then maybe there should have been something else on our to-do list. So this is doesn't mean that you're solely responsible for implementing that action. The entire Clean Energy Commission, as well as all our volunteers, our wonderful volunteers who are on the phone in the background, as well as other community people who we can recruit, and vendors, and we can build a team to implement each of these actions. It just means that you're kind of might update on the progress on that initiative at different meetings and kind of help build that team of people to work on it. You're not expected to do all the work yourself.
No, you are. You're like that general who is in charge of Operation Warp Speed. You are expected to take the blame for everything that goes wrong. That's just kidding. Just kidding. Number 5 is, Catherine, revamp the town's clean energy website. Is that more a municipal? Should that really go down to the other bucket?
Yes. So I don't know whether I do see him still on the phone. So I've already started to make some progress on this. As you guys know, the town shifted website platforms a while ago, and they kind of migrated everything over. A lot of our stuff is out of date now because we weren't able to touch it for a while. Plus, I don't have control to make changes anymore, so everything we do has to go through IT. So it's a little less flexible to keep updated. I've already recruited Mike Matthews, who's on the phone, or I don't know whether he's on audio or not. He's a relatively new resident to West Hartford, but he has a communication background and he's involved in energy. And so he has volunteered to help me go through the town's website and think about not only organizational structure, but content, and kind of rethink that. So you can put me down there.
I'll put down Catherine and Catherine.
Mike Matthews.
Mike Matthews, and to, anybody else, any citizen or resident who's on and wants to participate.
Yeah, anyone else, if that's what, is exciting to you, please tell us now, because, it doesn't need to be just Mike and me. More people can get involved. So
Absolutely.
anyone else want to work on that too?
I'm happy to weigh in.
Awesome.
And Catherine, this is Mike, Bernie, everybody else. Good evening. Yeah, certainly happy to help in any way I can with the website. Just want to be clear. I'm not the IT guy. I think you already said it. I'm more of the content, more of kind of the marketing side of things for clean energy projects. So happy to help wherever I can. As well, the gentleman who is doing the community outreach and engagement, happy to help in any way I can with that too.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
That's wonderful. Number 6 is phrased as a very finite ask, like let's just get a couple high school representatives, but I think it's really trying to get some junior representatives on a regular basis who attend. And I know I've seen other, I attended the Avon Clean Energy Commission a year and a half ago, and it's a regular feature of their commission, and it's a regular part of the relationship with the high school and Avon. So I think this would be helpful on a bunch of fronts. It would bring in younger people. It would bring in some diversity in a bunch of dimensions.
I think this is a really easy one. Like Bernie said, it's kind of finite. We have some representatives from our public high schools already on the phone tonight. So you got a starting point right there, but I think this is a really easy one. It's really, and I can provide context, but it's really talking to the town clerk and to the high schools themselves and figuring out how to structure that, and then putting the invitation out there, and working with the schools to structure that fairly, rotate it. Is it one representative from Hall, from Conard, maybe considering whether there's a member at large, another member to represent private high schools or not. That doesn't, you can start small and just focus on the public high schools is fine. But I think that would be a really easy one to implement right off the bat in January.
All right, Catherine, I'm going to put you at the center of that.
No. I don't want to be the person quarterbacking. I will provide the contacts, but I think it should come from one of our, not from the staff member of the community. I think the ask should come from one of our resident commissioners.
All right. I'm gonna put, unless somebody wants this, I'm going to put James Capella there. I know he works, he's a soccer coach. I know he's got some connections, and he's not here to defend himself. Okay. The heat pump and efficiency education campaign, that will be Bernie and anyone else who wants to join, and I'll just, in the interest of time, I'll just move quickly past.
Well, I'm interested, Bernie.
All right. Joe, you're a brave man. Thank you. This one, we're on to number 8, work with social services to design and implement an energy outreach campaign focused on equity. For example, low and middle income residents and or renters. Because both of those groups are underrepresented in the efficiency and energy which has been done in the past.
So Bernie, this was where I believed, based on what was fed to me for the plan, that this was going to be the home energy solutions campaign, but focused on LMI residents with the added complication that there might be barriers that need to be fixed before they can do that efficiency work. So this bullet point here was partly HES and partly other things that get missed, as well as energy assistance and things that would serve that community well.
Right.
So I was, you know, whatever that campaign looks like, we don't know yet. But that was, I thought, based on what was fed to me through all those meetings, was the interest of the commission was targeting kind of an equity energy efficiency campaign.
Now that I understand it better, I'm going to say I'm down for that. So
I'm happy to help.
was that Max?
Yep.
That's great. Okay. Conduct an outreach for CR Clubs Ready for 100 campaign. We kind of have grouped that together on the outreach side. I know Sam Dynowski, who I think was on, can't help it. She's part of this as a resident. But I'm thinking that Mike Matthews, Chris, and Joe, we can work together on that. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. So we had hold or partner on an electric vehicle event. We had some really, 2 years ago, we had a wonderful event with Kingswood, Oxford. I think the year before that, we had a wonderful event that I think was initiated by maybe the Conservation Commission.
No, it was the Clean Energy Commission when Matt McCunas was part of us.
Okay. Should this?
Is anyone particularly jazzed about an electric vehicle event? I mean, timing wise, right? It's usually in September is EV Day. And that might be as easy as finding someone else in the community or a vendor who's interested in putting one on in West Hartford lot and letting them do all the work.
You know, I know KO did the one a couple years ago. Did they ever express an interest in doing another one, or was that a one-off thing?
The guys who organized it were seniors, so I know they've left, but the club still exists. It was their robotics club, actually.
Okay.
Let me just put down James on this, because I know he's organized these events in the past.
He's driving.
What was that?
I said he's driving right now, so I think you could put him down.
And public transit champions. This is be a completely new thing for this commission. We've never had anything like this, I think.
So this is also something that I'm interested in, because I haven't really figured out who in West Hartford, the town organization or in the commission structure, is working on encouraging public transit options, or all, you know, Bike Ped Commission is very focused on Bike Ped. And I don't know who, I've asked a few questions. I've tried to kind of figured out, and I still don't have a clear picture of who champions those efforts, like I said, within the town or within the community. I know the Greater Hartford, Julia Farber is putting in the Greater Hartford Transit District. I know they do, but we don't, I've tried to find out who in the town is liaisoning with them, and I don't have a good idea. Who's John Lyons? Is he at the transit district or is he in the town? Julia's typing some stuff. Okay, so maybe I'll chat with Julia. These are board members on the town, John Lyons. Okay. Oh, she's probably pulled up their website. Yeah. So let me figure out, because I have never been able to find out what we're doing actively in that area. And that's something that I, at least, and maybe it's just that I'm not connected enough, but that's something that I flagged as a gap in our Sustainable Connecticut kind of action category broadly. So put me down there.
Catherine, should we invite these two West Hartford reps on this board to maybe come to a future meeting and maybe explain what they do?
Yes. Yes. Sure.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah, I haven't figured out the right approach.
but I think, Chris, I think you're really onto something there. The fact that I think we've identified it under the heading of energy, the most efficient way to move people around is publicly, even with an electric vehicle, or it's, you know, if you have one person in a 2-ton vehicle, it's, no matter what, it's not efficient. But we don't have, if we can find somebody else, another commissioner or another group to solve it, that's good. We don't have to solve every problem that we identify.
Yeah, I mean, if someone else is actively working on this, I'm happy to not have it under the Clean Energy Commission umbrella. This is just, I think first we need to do the research exercise, because I'm not even sure what's going on. Julia's researching on their website, I can see in the chat. So I'll take a look at that too. Follow up.
And this is Sam, if I might just add to that conversation for a sec. The Greater Hartford Transit District is the ADA portion of transit. So the smaller vehicles for folks with disabilities versus the transit system run by DOT that serves West Hartford and Hartford. So I think there's two components, and I want to make sure we try and hit both of them.
Thank you. There's also some connections and resources listed under some of the potential actions in Sustainable Connecticut with organizations and resources as well. So I'll do some more digging on that.
That's great. And that was a great lead-in, Catherine. Recruiting more community involvement on Sustainable CT, because it's a valuable tool to crack problems that we haven't cracked before.
So you can list me there too, regardless of the work that's being done above for the two-way community engagement channels. This specifically, I've been having some recent conversations with the mayor and some other folks, community members, about how to accomplish this, not just on Sustainable Connecticut, the program specifically, but sustainable issues in general for the town. So we'll talk about that at some future meetings. It might involve a new task force.
The other, Catherine, I'm happy to help with community involvement with Sustainable Connecticut as well.
Yeah, there are a lot of points to be gained with waste reduction measures in Sustainable CT. So
Yeah, so I'll definitely work with Catherine on that. We were talking earlier today about, we were brainstorming, so.
That's great. Well, thank you all. Thank you all, Catherines and Chris. Number 13, I put my name there. Ideally, Matt Hart, he's already expressed this is what he wants to happen. I think he has to provide us with some guidance. To some extent, we can't just go annexing and expanding our charter willy-nilly. So I'm happy to put my name under that. Happy to have anybody else participate with me as well.
I'd like to help you out with that, Bernie.
Was that
Steve Zach.
wonderful? Thank you, Stephen. And number 14, I think we're all in this together, as everybody likes to say these days. The idea being that the 2008, the 2009 plan that was adopted in 2009, it took over a decade. It was a fantastic plan. Like Catherine said at the top of the meeting, it was actually imitated and copied in a lot of other towns, which was, I think, whatever they call it, the sincerest form of flattery is imitation. But I think things are moving quickly enough that we're envisioning that this document would get sort of refreshed every couple years. And just to remind people that we do have every decade, West Hartford and all other Connecticut towns have to put together what is called a POCD, a Plan of Conservation and Development. We struggled long and hard to get this plan that we're talking about mentioned and incorporated into that by reference. And one of the reasons that we said that that was important is the POCD, which only gets updated every 10 years, couldn't keep up with the times, whereas this plan is more nimble, and so it can keep up with the times. So updating the energy plan in 2022 is our making good on our promise to Todd Dumais. Okay, and nobody is signed in blood here, but this is a good working start. And Catherine, I think one of your jobs will have to be to say, okay, your name is next to a lot of these. Ideally, we'll broaden out the base. Catherine, you had, I think you were approached by somebody, a resident of West Hartford, but works in Simsbury, and then you looped in somebody from the Arts Commission. Is that right?
Yes. Didn't we talk about this last time?
I think it's on the agenda this time, but that's
okay.
I think we did talk about it last time, so that's fine.
So there is a active discussion right now between Bernie, the chair of the Clean Energy Commission, Chuck Corsi, who's the chair of the newly formed Commission on the Arts, and Stephanie Bahranian. I sorry, I'm butchering her last name, but she's Bloomfield's environmental planner. She's also a resident of West Hartford, and we're noodling around a project idea and doing some research on the feasibility of looking at some of the EV parking spaces, both in Bloomfield, Simsbury, and West Hartford, and combining art and painting of the actual parking spaces themselves. So that's an active discussion that's going on, and we'll see where it leads. I think we have another discussion in about eight days, and we all went away with some research to be performed to come together again to see where we should go next, and whether we turn this maybe into a Sustainable Connecticut Community Match Fund project or not. So that's where that is. Just kind of in the works.
I just want to do a time check. It's 8:04. I want to leave time for the emergency discussion. if I can double back to, can I double back? That's a good question, whether I can double back. I seem to have lost my, well, let me go by memory, which is always dangerous. Just to let people on the commission know, do you all remember that we had the Bright Ideas grant, which would periodically give us $5,000 or $10,000 to put some panels on a barn at Westmore Park, or to conduct an outreach campaign? The utilities, the electric distribution companies, are proposing a sort of a renovation of that. So we're working with that. Hopefully it will come to pass. And if it does, that would mean that we might be able to have a little bit of cash to do a mailing, or print some flyers, or host a community meeting, or something along those lines. So that is quite good. And the other thing, I think we all, Catherine, you had sent around Sherry Cantor receiving this award from the climate mayor, and what I've done here is excerpted from the press release. It was, I don't think anybody had the opportunity to dial in, but well, I take it back. I know Julia Farber was on the line and on the Zoom, as was I. This is a big deal. This is a really big deal. Catherine, you were mentioned by name at least 3 times, I think. So kudos to you. But there were 2 events, one at noon for large cities, so that's defined as over 100,000. And as you can see, Pittsburgh was the winner. And then there were cities under 100,000, and we are, I think, 63,500. And we were the top small town. And Sherry got, her 5 to 10 minutes of fame. It was quite a wonderful thing. We got this for our virtual net metering contract, I'll say, with Thompson, Connecticut, where we essentially have a financial transaction with them, where we are the off takers on their solar field. But it was just an amazing thing, and something to think about. What Sherry Cantor won is $15,000, which we are to, the intent is she can wave her mayoral wand and donate that money to a sustainability nonprofit. Is that right, Catherine? I think, is it possible you're on mute, or? Anyway, I was looking, there we go.
Bernie, just one comment that I have about that. It is a big thing, but from my perspective, it appears to be a big thing that the rest of West Hartford really doesn't know about.
Totally.
So, this has been a frustration of mine, and maybe Mike, you might have some thoughts about how we can publicize this thing. I look every day in the Current for some kind of write-up on this, and for whatever reason they don't pick it up. We have a PR person working for the town, don't we?
Yes. So, Joe, I'm hoping this will get a little more publicity. This was a strange award because it happened very quickly. So we applied very last minute. I decided to submit our virtual net metering program because it was not because it's my favorite thing we do, but because it's a very discrete program and it was easy to write up. And I also thought it was unique, and that not a lot of other towns, maybe across the nation, would be doing virtual net metering or have heard of it. And I guess the judges thought so too. So the selection process was made. We weren't even allowed to tell people that we won until they issued their press release on Friday. WeHa and some other local, Renee was working with me on press stuff. and WEHA did a blast, and there will be a joint press release. We've crafted a joint press release with Hartford, because Hartford was a winner, an honorable mention winner in the large category for some energy justice work that they've done. So there is a joint press release that's crafted and has now been sent to a whole bunch. I mean, I saw the list of about 15 media outlets, including the Hartford Courant. So I'm hopeful that they pick it up. But the timeline to get the word out on this was very condensed, just because of the way the Conference of U.S. Mayors was running it.
But Joe, to take your point, I think it's a huge opportunity for us. Well, Catherine, it's fair to say that the mayor herself, I think she got to communicate with the other mayors, large towns and small towns. I think it was fantastic. I think it got her excited, and I think, Joe, your point is, in any way that we can from our commission and the outlets that Catherine listed, this is an opportunity for us to tell people, hey, we were recognized nationally. That was
yeah. We can make some more noise about it, but I think, as Bernie said, what I'm so excited about this is I've had a lot of conversations with Sherry over the last, Mayor Cantor, over the last couple of weeks leading into this, all about climate change and energy initiatives and sustainability and environmental justice and equity and community engagement. And she is fired up about this stuff. And listening to those conversations, she was on the large city call as well as the small city call, and hearing what the other mayors were saying and just being focused on this. I think we have an opportunity now that she's focused on it to elevate its priority. So at the same time, I've been talking to Sherry for many months now. We've also been trying to work with Matt Hart as well, to put some broader initiatives in place, again, focused more on kind of a top-down prioritization of sustainability and climate change issues, rather than kind of a bottom-up approach coming from within the Department of Plant and Facilities on energy. So I think things are, I'm really excited that this award happened, because I think we can leverage it into something big and positive for the town. And we got some other folks on the call who are going to help.
Do the funds have to go to a nonprofit, or can we decide where we put the funds?
well.
So the $15,000 that we won is a donation that will be made by the sponsor of the awards, Walmart, to a sustainability nonprofit of the town's choice.
Okay. Do we have a charity that we work with that maybe we could use the money for low income, somebody in low income for energy efficiency or equipment upgrade of some sort?
So that's exactly what Bernie and I wanted to throw out to you guys right now. You can either throw out names right now, or you can think about it a little and email me names. I already started a list of names.
Names of
who
what?
might be good candidates. Again, I can't guarantee that anybody that we name or or throw out there would get chosen, because ultimately I think it will be up to Sherry and the town council. Some of the organizations that we're thinking of, well, Sam Donowski mentioned to me the Connecticut Coalition for Environmental Justice. We were also trying to think of, it would be nice to have a nonprofit that has a distinct West Hartford connection. And it would also be nice to have a nonprofit that doesn't have a big fundraising capability themselves. So the Sierra Club was mentioned, but retracted. Sustainable Connecticut also has a good fundraising capability on their own. Clean Water Action is a nonprofit that we interact with a lot. PACE, People Action for Clean Energy, does a lot of good work with West Hartford as well as other communities. The Center for Latino Progress, Anthony Chirolis, focuses a lot on transportation, as well as they have a BCCO location in West Hartford. So those are some of the ideas that I have on my radar, but I'm happy to take ideas from anyone else and feed these back up to Sherry.
Well, nonprofit and a mission that directly engages on sustainability. I think those are the two things we have to touch.
And local, yeah. I think local is a good idea.
I think local is I'm with you. I like Steve said, if we could help a group of West Hartford residents with improving their surroundings from an energy standpoint, that hits a lot of our, well, not to go through the conversation we just had, but I think it hits a lot of those marks.
Catherine, does the full amount have to go to one organization, or can it be split amongst several?
One.
Okay.
So is there, what organization could we go through to be able to get the money into low-income housing people, or in some way to help them with a energy audit, upgrades for energy efficiency? Which organization would do just that, where they would take every dollar towards that, and we can help figure out who could be a good participant in town for that?
I guess we could give it to the community renewal team. I don't know whether there can be any strings attached to it that it has to be used for West Hartford. Community renewal team is the energy action agency for multiple towns, not just West Hartford.
Operation Fuel 2, potentially?
Yeah, but they're just really paying fuel costs. I don't think that's a good use for this $15,000.
I wonder if the West Hartford Housing Authority.
That's my opinion. We can put Operation Fuel down. I don't know. Do you understand?
I'm in favor of whatever organization would be that all the dollars would be used for energy efficiency and equipment upgrade or some portion like that to residents of West Hartford.
Yeah, I couldn't come up with a nonprofit that did that directly, because the town does some of that work through grants and improving people's homes as well, but we can't donate it to ourselves.
Let me suggest, this is a good conversation. I want to make sure we get the climate emergency group on. We can follow up this meeting with emails, and once everybody's minds gets going, we can continue this conversation via email and time permitting at the end of the meeting. So if I can pause it here and maybe move on to the climate emergency discussion, just so we make sure we get done by 9 o'clock. And Henry, I think are you the leader of the band on this topic?
No, I'm more the follower.
You are the follower. Okay, yeah. Well, take me to your leader.
I think it's the three high schoolers. So we're going to start with Arlo.
All right. Hello, Arlo.
Hello. Good evening. I'm Arlo Tucker, and I'm joined by my fellow Conard students, Zoe Weissman and Evan Piccioli, along with Henry Millward, who is a West Hartford resident and math teacher at Tunxus Community College. We're currently working on passing a climate emergency resolution in the town of West Hartford and are here today to ask for your support. We understand that last year there was an attempt to pass a similar resolution in the town, and we wanted to address some of the ways that ours will be different. The first thing I wanted to mention was the wording of the resolution, specifically using the word emergency. Concern has been expressed dealing with the urgency and commitment that comes along with using such a strong word. However, we are adamant about using emergency because while it may be intimidating, it prioritizes action and displays the importance of dealing with carbon emissions and climate change. Not only do we want this resolution to simply declare climate change as an emergency, but additionally, we want it to present a plan to combat the issue. Here to talk about that plan is Evan Piccioli.
So thank you, Arlo, for the introduction. Once again, my name is Evan, and I will be going over the plan we have created to fix this climate emergency. I'll cover 4 different points of action which we believe will be most effective in resolving this issue. First point of action is to create a climate commission, dedicated to a group of specific people who will look to work on all the climate issues here in West Hartford. This could also have youth commission representation in coalition with adults, which will help bring a fresh perspective on these topics. The second point of action is to set an ambitious target for decreasing municipal carbon emissions. For example, 90% by 2030. This may seem like a drastic decrease, but remember, as a town, we do have a lot more control over municipal carbon emissions. The third point of action is to require carbon accounting and reduction targets for different towns and departments. For example, we should set a goal for each department in the town and have them hit these targets over a given time period. The fourth and final point of action is to push for action at the state and federal level to increase the effects that our efforts have and to endorse by putting a price on carbon in the Senate. Now, I'll be going on to Zoe, who will be talking about other towns and how they are successfully doing this.
Thank you. So, as he said, many towns, communities, countries, and even the entirety of Europe are doing these things. Millions of people live in places that have announced that climate change is an emergency. And why should we be any different? Locally, we have New Britain, New Haven, and Middletown that all passed similar emergency climate resolutions. And even just here in Connecticut, we can see the effects that these have. Case in point, New Haven's Climate Task Force, which is a new addition. They are tasked with combating climate change in their town. And we could expect to see similar things in our town if we also passed a resolution. The resolutions are so important because they drive action. The driving force behind them is what inspires people to take initiative and what we need in West Hartford to properly combat climate change. Henry?
Thank you, Zoe. We know that passing a climate emergency resolution is going to require building consensus. This team that we've put together is ready to do that work. We've already reached out to the Hall High School Environmental Club, and they are eager to help us move forward. We've also started to reach out to the other commissions like the Conservation and Environment Commission, as well as the Bicycle and Pedestrian Commission. In all of our conversations, people are hungry for action on the town level and on the state and federal level. Climate change is a collective action problem. West Hartford needs to move forward, but that won't make much of a difference unless we can also have actions that help move other towns forward as well. Our resolution is designed to work on both these levels. On behalf of myself, Arlo, Evan, and Zoe, we thank you for taking time to speak with us on a commission meeting so close to the holidays. And now we'll take any questions that you might have about the resolution. Thank you.
Well, first of all, thank you all for taking the time to present to us so close to the holidays. So back at you guys. A very specific question. Is your resolution focused on the municipal and school operations? Is that what it's aimed at? So in other words, the town of West Hartford, municipal buildings and the school system? Like that's the—
Yes, we're specifically focusing on West Hartford and the municipal carbon emissions.
Okay, so it's totally take the point that the residents and the businesses also have to come along, but you're narrowly saying West Hartford, you lead the way. West Hartford town municipal operations, you take the lead on this. That's what your resolution is aimed at.
That's one of the 4 points. One big part of it that'll have a life of its own and develop its own initiatives is the climate change commission or task force.
Mm-hmm.
So that might address some of the more broader issues that, you know, that you're talking about with non-municipal emissions.
Do you guys have draft language already? Or are you working on the language of what that resolution would look like? Is it similar to Middletown's?
Yeah, right now we've got a couple of good examples that we're working off of. We do like Middletown's a lot, but really we're you know, coming here to present to the different commissions to try to find things that people want inside of the language of the resolution. So we're pretty flexible in terms of what makes it in.
I also believe New Haven also has a resolution that's currently out there as well.
Are all these ones that have been passed, New Britain, New Haven, and Middletown, I have to go back and reread them. Are they all primarily focused on, are they solely focused on municipal operations or the community as a whole?
Yeah, I'm mixing the languages together a little bit. They also, one commonality among all of them is the climate task force or the climate change commission. So, you know, I wouldn't pin any of them down by saying that they're only focused on municipal emissions. We included that in ours because it seemed like a lower hanging fruit. You know, in addition to creating a climate change task force, we could also tack this very actionable, more within our control type of goal. But it's not absolutely essential to our resolution either. You know, if that's a big stumbling point for people, we're flexible on it.
Well,
okay. Before I go any further, if people aren't monitoring this chat, I do want to say that Sam's throwing out, and I should point out as well, thank you guys. That was a wonderful presentation. It was really great. And for those of you who don't remember, these are the three formerly Sedgwick Middle School students who were very active in the plastic bag ban and did a presentation to town council. So they are all three now in high school. So Sam is giving, in the chat box here, Sam Donowski is giving you guys all kinds of shout outs, and I wanted to make sure that you saw them and other people knew that they were there. So great job.
Can anybody save the chat, by the way? I'm having trouble even seeing it. I can see things pop up, but I can't see the whole narrative chat.
Maybe I am able to save it. I'll try. I don't know how WebEx works very well. I think I can probably copy it and paste it before we're done.
Well,
Ernie, if you see a thing that says chat in your lower right-hand button or right-hand corner of your screen, if you click that, it may open a chat box for you to view everything.
Yeah.
Maybe it does. Like it popped up somewhere else.
Anyway, so as a commission member, I'll just say I am very supportive of a new commission. I don't know whether I'm struggling still, and I just so you know, there are other discussions going on about whether it would be a climate commission or a sustainability commission, and what the difference between those two things might be. I'm interested. You said all of these towns created a climate commission, and so I guess for me, I don't know whether climate is too narrow, whether sustainability involves other things that might not be related to climate, or whether there's a lot of overlap between our existing Clean Energy Commission. So I am supportive of a new commission. I think there are things that are not being captured by the existing commissions that we have. Clean Energy, Conservation and Environment, and like PED, which I think would be the three that are most directly responsible. Anyone else?
I'll just throw in and say I appreciate the fact that it would be the municipal operations and not the whole town. I believe we have to work on the whole town. That's a part of our plan, but I think trying to do something in a decade's time at that scale, I just don't know how to do it, where I can envision radical progress being made at the municipal level. And I say that because I think we've already made radical progress, and I think we can make more radical progress. So I think it isn't that I don't want to do the whole town, businesses and residents, as well as municipal operations. But I think in this emergency context, I think if we confine it to the municipal sector, I think we have a better chance of achieving it, and I think we can also influence the rest of the town with to move the ball forward. So I'm a lot more favorable on this than the last time it was presented to us.
Although I do have to point out, municipal operations, just so you're aware, are less than 5% of the community as a whole in terms of energy use. So, you know, if we're declaring an emergency and then we're only focusing on less than 5% of what causes emissions, it seems a little contradictory to me.
I think one thing that we were talking about putting inside of the resolution was, we don't know exactly how we would do it yet, but some way to start making progress on the general community as a whole. We didn't put it in the presentation because we don't know how we're going to do it and we don't know if it's possible, but I think that would be something that we would have the task force or the commission take hold of.
And going on, sorry, go ahead.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'm not trying to bash this down. I'm trying to, maybe my tone is wrong. I'm trying to think through it, you know, and offer kind of a viewpoint on, you know, what the resolution is saying and how it fits in my mind. So maybe I'm being a little too critical, but I'm trying to think through it.
And kind of going off what Arlo said too, we kind of put that in there in the hopes to kind of start off small, kind of with baby steps, and then slowly kind of move into more and more ambitious goals. If we kind of started off with, you know, just this one big goal, we'd probably get lost and we probably wouldn't be able to successfully complete it. So we figured start small and slowly work our way into bigger and bigger goals.
What do other commissioners feeling? How are you guys feeling about the word emergency or crisis? The last time that we had a conversation with Mayor Cantor back in October of 19, she suggested that word was a little too inflammatory for West Hartford. She thought she wanted to kind of soften that. A lot has changed since October of 19. I like the word emergency too.
I think
commissioners?
What I keep thinking is the last time we talked about this last year, as a group, we were okay with it, and the pushback was from the mayor and from the town. So I don't know where we will go as a group in this conversation now, because it wasn't us necessarily that rejected it. And I do feel that it's not, if there were a climate change commission, it would be this one. That's my opinion. It's not, but it could be if it were changed. But it does touch more than this. It touches waste, which doesn't have its own commission, I don't think. And obviously the Conservation and Environment Commission, land use planning. But energy is the big one.
Energy is the big one. I'll just say, I was with the mayor last time on emergency, but my reasoning was that if you're going to declare an emergency, you have to do something as a result of that declaration. So if you're in school and the fire alarm goes off, everybody gets out of the building. And as long as we can come up with a set of actions that sort of pair up, make sense alongside a declaration, I think we should revisit. And I think the mayor might be in a different place.
I would like to say the students' thumbs up presentation was fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would add to the thumbs up and say the hardest thing, and Sam Dynowski, I think, knows this. Actually, Catherine Bruns knows this too. Anybody who tries to influence the thinking of 63,500 people, it takes a lot. It's really hard to get, first of all, people have all different mindsets to begin with, and then how do you engage with these people? I mean, now to go back to the part of the meeting before, it's really hard. So to the extent that you at Conard and you're working with people at Hall are, you can galvanize the students, you can galvanize your parents, and other groups. I think that's really helpful. It's getting people on board to do something.
So one thing with a resolution, and I know I flagged this to Henry when I sent him the copy of the Middletown resolution, was that there was a little thing at the bottom there which said fiscal impact, TBD, to be determined how much it would cost to implement that and get the town on board, like Evan mentioned, to 90% reduction in emissions by 2030 or whatever goal gets folded in. So there's a cost attached to that. And West Hartford, and I know the mayor saw that when she looked at, and I know we had a discussion about the fact that some towns pass resolutions without thinking through the full fiscal impacts. West Hartford does not. So that will be something that will need to be looked at before a town council would pass a resolution. And so when we're talking about emissions reductions, you're talking about a lot of older buildings, some of which are still steam heated, because, it's one thing to tackle and make your electricity use green. It's another thing when you start to talk about natural gas use and things that are more difficult to do without overhauling systems. Transportation, vehicle fleet, money for electric vehicles, other things, whatever that looks like. I'm just saying, alternative fuels, biodiesel alternatives, retrofitting equipment. We have a ton of lawn mowing equipment and grounds equipment, which I don't believe we're even tracking the use of, all that kind of use. So I maybe I'm too down in the weeds right now, but that's my town staff and me thinking about that. If we want to pass something like this, we're going to have to keep the fiscal impact in mind too. And unfortunately, the timing with many other priorities related to COVID is difficult when it comes to budgeting funds.
Catherine, can I ask, in terms of developing a fiscal impact statement, does somebody in the town government help with that, or is that something that we do independently? Is that the town manager?
No, it would be later. I think your path would be. Can you guys hold on one second? Can someone let the cat in? cat is literally climbing up the window outside. Like up the screen trying to get in.
Ours does the same thing. There's all these little scratches at the bottom of the window on the back door because the thing's there.
I'm really sorry.
No, did he get in? I don't want any cats to freeze.
Yeah, my daughter has got her. Okay, so no, I think in terms of the progression that would happen later, I think you need to solicit support and get this resolution introduced, and then it not only has to pass a legal hurdle, a legal review, but it would also be, I'm thinking about some of my resolutions it has to have a fiscal impact statement attached to it when it goes, and that would be prepared by different town departments and by corporation council as well.
When it goes to the town council for a vote?
To the town council. That may be up to the discretion of the town manager too, depending on the type of resolution, whether the fiscal impact statement needs to be nailed down up front or not. I think that's for later discussion. But in my experience, some of the resolutions that we've put forward had to have not only a legal review, but a fiscal review before it went. But I think first we need to get broad support and introduce the idea before it would even get to that stage.
Okay.
Catherine, do you know what level of detail is in the current town budget? Like, is all energy lumped together? Are some of the things that can you see electricity and gas and oil and fuel spiked out, or are they all? In other words, is there a place where this group could look to sort of see, at least understand the status quo?
You mean what we spend on energy?
What we spend on energy, precisely.
Yeah, I have all that, but there are other bits. I have that for the buildings and grounds, anything that we get a utility bill for. When it comes to little bits and pieces like lawn equipment, and when it comes to vehicle energy use, I do not have that information myself. I've been fed some of that information, so I can get you rough data, but I'm not the tracker of all fuel use.
Yeah. That might be a starting point, though, to just lay out the things that we have numerically, even to specify we don't have, say, vehicle miles traveled and fuel consumption, but just to spike out what we have and what we don't have.
Yeah, a lot of that's in the energy plan. I translated it into MMBTUs, but we can present it in whatever form you like. Yeah, I think even the vehicle gallons is in there too.
Can I also ask, Bernie? Let me know if we're overstaying our welcome. I don't know.
Why don't we go like a few more minutes, and then we'll just wrap up. I think we have public comment and reports. So I guess we can call this public comment. Catherine and Sam and anybody that this should be open at this point.
So I was confused. Can I ask a question or no?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So I just also for the commissioners that were here last time when Mayor Cantor reviewed the last resolution, we're reaching out to her to talk to her, and she might be in a different place. I don't know, but do you have any recommendations as we, things that we might want to work on or add to the resolution to make it more palatable?
Mike, take this for what it's worth. This is, I guess, she's a businesswoman. Mm-hmm. I think she was a businesswoman before she was a politician. So she's very practical. I think she's she's going to embrace the ideals, but I think she's going to ask, I think whoever it was, Evan, or one of you said, how are we going to do this? That's, I think she's, and what does this mean in dollars and cents? Because she's also a mayor and a businesswoman in charge of a town of 63,000 people that is in the middle of a pandemic, and it's she's in a difficult place. So,
Oh, thank you.
And from what I've heard from her recently, I think she's very interested in the community engagement aspects, making sure that this is having the input from the community, whether that's in the resolution, equity issues, especially coming out of COVID, like Middletown's was, I think, very focused on that. I'm not sure about New Britain's, but or in the process of getting the resolution adopted, having that community input and engagement would be a way to put pressure on them to adopt it too. So whether it's in the resolution or integrated into the process.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful.
Somebody put in chat, I think Sam, and I think this, I hadn't thought of this, but she says, I think that making the case that business as usual will have a great cost. So cooling bills, storm cleanup, especially on vulnerable populations. So you don't want to be Chicken Little, and you don't want to be alarmist, but, and I also don't want to say that if we get West Hartford to sort of a net zero perfect position, that's still not going to fix the rest of the world. But I don't think we can stay on the path that we're on now. So that's one way to come at it.
And I think just by getting West Hartford on there, it kind of shows that, it kind of just shows our mark, and I think it would definitely help get other towns encouraged. I mean, yeah, of course, you know, us alone, we're not going to do much. We're not going to even, you know, put a dent into the global carbon emissions, but hopefully by us doing this, you know, we might become a leader. We might get other towns to follow along, you know, could maybe snowball into something bigger. Who knows? But I think it's at least worth a shot instead of kind of just sitting back and letting it get out of control.
Evan, I think you're right, and there's two analogies. You use the snowball analogy, so we start rolling and it gets bigger. And in this case, I would also use the idea of an icebreaker ship. You have to prove that it's possible to get through this. And so if a town like West Hartford, and I'm not tooting our own horn here, but we're privileged that we've got a smart population. We've got a lot of people who are educated and really into this. If you just even look at the people that are on this call, if we can be that icebreaker and demonstrate that it's possible, then I think we can get right into the snowball stage. So I think you're onto something there.
So did you guys get out of us what you needed for today? What is, I think you have, well, I don't want to speak out of turn. Do you want us to, Bernie, I don't know what the next step is. Do we vote on supporting this initiative? Are you guys, I don't know whether we can do that without seeing kind of a draft of language. I don't know what the next steps are. Anyone?
How about, Catherine, I'm glad you said that. Why don't we ask this group to come back to us and report back to us with, you're going to talk to other commissions, maybe do a little bit more research on this and come back with a recommendation. I think we can, in our minutes, we can note that this has been brought to us, and I think we can start to use, you know, informal communications with the town manager and the mayor and so forth to say that there's an interest in this. Why don't you also, it sounds like you have already started to reach out to your classmates, associates, see how much uptake you get, because people talk about the lack of political will. It's political will only exists if people make it, and you're the one. I think I'm going to put words in your mouth that you didn't quite say, but I think you're saying that you're going to help us produce that political will. I don't think people are good or bad. I think they just need. Everybody has a lot of priorities. We just have to help them. So that was a lot of words. I think if you come back at our the next meeting or so, it doesn't have to be this long a presentation, but just keep us apprised of what's going on. At some point, we'll see if we can't send something up to the town council. And you're going to talk to the Conservation and Environment Commission also?
Oh, tomorrow night, the same night Bernie's visiting?
Oh, no.
No.
We're still just making, you guys have been so wonderful with us and provided us with so much information, really got us started. So we have the deepest connection with you all. But we're just trying to generate those relationships with the other commissions as well.
I'll tell you what, I will warn them that you're coming.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other public comments?
Bernie, before we go, I have a couple of items too, but I'm welcome to, I can sit tight if anyone else wants to chime in, either in the chat. I'm watching the chat too. I know Sam's on the chat, or you guys can unmute yourselves. And do I have to unmute? Oh.
No, it's Sam. I don't have any public comment. I was just like engaging in the conversation in the chat. Hope that's okay.
Of course. Sorry, I missed some of it. It was very...
I have found a way to, I think I can save the chat. I just have to, I don't know if it's the right way to do it, but I can highlight, I can scroll back and highlight and cut and paste it into another document. So.
Yeah, I did that too, Bernie. I've got it all too.
Okay, great.
Oh, I missed the last one there.
Okay.
So just the couple of items I wanted to share was I've been having some conversations with the hall with Leanne Noland, who is the the head of the environmental club at Hall High School, which some of you guys might belong to. Anyway, we are going to work with them. Well, she's going to initiate, and I'm going to support probably a project to get an EV charging station at Hall High School. And it sounds like you guys are working with the environmental club as well on the climate emergency issue. And then more broadly, Leanne and I talked about really reinvigorating, and this is actually one of the action items in the energy plan that I said I and Catherine Bruns would work on together, reinvigorating a network within the schools and identifying key people or teachers at each school to reinvigorate a network of knowledge transfer and engagement around energy and recycling and other sustainabilities, and really letting the schools drive it, but Catherine and I facilitating and being there to support and connect people who want to do projects or educational initiatives. And Leanne is really also interested in the curriculum side of things, which I think is fantastic. So I really think that's going to get off the ground again. I think a couple of superintendents ago, energy and sustainability issues were a key interest of the superintendent. And they used to have a formal committee out of the superintendent's office that did that. So Catherine and I are very excited about starting that up again. Even virtually, we can do it starting next year and kind of building a network and communication channel there, which will also help the broader communication strategies as well. And then the last thing I just wanted to share is that I am working on the utility budgets for the town and the Board of Ed. And so the latest energy numbers are showing that we are still on budget despite running the buildings longer hours and increased ventilation for COVID, some of the limited weekend use, as well as the reduced occupancy and some of the town building closures on the town side. And I think a lot of the maintenance work that we have done has helped keep the energy use in line. So we are still running on budget. We had a lot of water use at the beginning of this fiscal year, a lot of irrigation going on. It was very dry, but that also has tapered off. So hopefully that'll stay on budget as well. Water is increasingly an area of concern for me because unlike electricity and natural gas, water rates seem to be going up and up and up and up. And MDC is not as, I think, cooperative or interested in conservation. That's my report.
Thank you, Catherine. Well, guys, this is great. I think we got a lot into this meeting. I think we are well positioned. I'm going to knock on Formica for entering into 2021, which I never say anymore. It can't get any worse, but I do hope it will get better. I'm very grateful to all the commissioners and all the people who participate in these meetings in whatever capacity. It's one of the things that makes West Hartford, West Hartford. So thank you all, and have a great holiday of whatever sort, and be safe.
Hold on, I want to ask, Sam put in the chat, more than 30% of people in the US live in a community that have set a goal for 100% clean energy. So we would not be alone. Sam, is that a community goal or a municipal operations goal? That's a community goal, right?
Yeah, they're community goals. There's also statewide goals. So
yeah,
I don't know the number of states at this point who have committed. 8 states in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
This is the Ready for 100
but
statistic.
Yeah, for instance, Chicago, a city of 2.9 million people, have committed to 100% clean energy in a much colder climate than we have. So,
yeah. So, Henry, keep that in mind. I'm honestly not sure that our resolution should be solely focused on municipal operations. You know, I think maybe that should be a sub-target, you know, and maybe on a faster timeline. But I think the climate emergency stretches far beyond municipal operations. Again, we're 4% of the picture.
Samantha, I wanted to ask you, for that 30%, is there any kind of time frame that all of those communities share, or?
So I can send you, if you want to send me your email in the chat, I can send you some information about that. But really, each community has done it in a way that works for their community, which I think is pretty important if you want like local energy generation and to really address the needs of your community. So there's not like a set standard.
Just curious.
Yeah. But Sam, I think you do have resolutions that you could share.
Yeah, there are a ton of resolutions on the Ready for 100 website. There are a ton of website resolutions on there, examples.
Yeah. Okay.
I am saving the chat too, Bernie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a good idea. I'll see.
I got it. I got it.
Okay. Good night, all.
Night.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
This meeting is adjourned at you want to stay on for 20 seconds more, we can say exactly at 9 o'clock.